Okay, I want to welcome everybody again to Horses and Archery. And if you're liking these videos, please go ahead and subscribe and share them. Press your little like button and your notifications. So now you've seen on these restarts what I typically do with a horse that comes onto the property for training. It doesn't matter if they've ever been touched before or if they've been ridden for 10 years. They go through the restart. And the reason for the restart is where I'm looking for holes. Okay, I'm looking for holes in their training. They may go through it in 2 or 3 days. They may go through it in one day. Okay, uh, might take them 2 months, but it just depends. It doesn't matter. I'm looking for holes in their training. And however long it takes to go through that to get them up to where they can walk, trot, canter, that's just how long it takes. But anyway, that's typically what I do, is what you've seen in these restarts. Now, again, if you notice, it's relatively uneventful. Okay, it's not this big Western thing. Okay, if y'all are starting horses or if you're restarting a horse and he is dripping wet with sweat and heaving after every session, guys, you're doing something wrong. Okay, you need to reassess what you're doing. You need to go ahead and take lessons or do whatever you need to do, but you need to sharpen your horsemanship skills. Okay, and that doesn't matter if the horse has ever been touched. It doesn't matter if he's extremely sensitive or not. Doesn't matter. Okay, um, that's my 2 cents on it. Anyway, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this quarter horse on uh, into archery horse training. Okay, this is getting prepared to be an actual archery horse. Now I have a paint that's in here, and I'm just about to start to restart uh, with him. It depends on how fast he's going to go through it. I'm hoping he goes through it in just a couple of days. If he does, I'll put him in there too, so y'all be able to compare two different horses, two different personalities of horses. Um, but anyway, that's what we're going to start on now, and I hope you enjoy it. If you do, go ahead and like it and subscribe and hit your little bells on there, because I'm going to be putting up um, different videos and all that. But anyway, there you go. We're going to get started. Okay, now I've learned something about this horse since I had him over here. I've talked to a guy that knew this horse, the previous owner, not the owner that has him now, but the previous owner that owned him, has already started this horse in mounted archery. They tried to start this horse in mounted archery. Now they had trouble with it, and it was the same trouble that the owner that owns him now was having, was that the horse was running off and bucking just a little bit, but mainly just running off, being real obstinate. And so that may have been where it stemmed from. Okay, don't know, don't know, but I haven't seen that in the horse so far. He's been great. I mean, this horse has just been awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and desensitize him to the arrows. And again, apparently this horse has already had this done with him, because he is totally okay with it. It is very unusual that you're going to get a horse that's going to stand like this first time he sees the arrows and stuff. They're going to be a little bit apprehensive anyway. But apparently this horse has been introduced to all this before, so it went pretty easy. And so what I would do is I showed him the arrow. If he would have been walking around or kind of apprehensive about it, I wouldn't get in a tug of war with him. Don't make a big deal out of it. Just kind of drift with them and be easy until they can take be in touch with the arrow. Okay, And so I introduced him to the arrow. Now I'm showing him my bow. And if you notice, I showed it to him unstrung. It's just a stick. I let him feel it, look at it. Now I'm going to string it up. And again, I'm looking at the horse's demeanor. If he was nervous about this at all, I would not be going this fast. I'd make sure that he's okay with the arrow first, then make sure that he's okay with the bow unstrung first, then make sure that he's okay with the bow strung. He needs to be standing like this, okay? If they're not, you need to keep doing that until they are desensitized to it enough to where they're not paying attention to it. They're just not worried about it at all. Okay, so I'll touch them all over with the bow, and then I'll pluck it just a little bit. And what I'm doing, I'm just bringing the string back a few inches and just plucking it, just making it make noise. Okay, and he's fine with that. If he's having trouble with this, what I would do is lead this horse and let him follow it. And they do a lot better walking, moving, with noise, sight, sound, touch, all of it, than they are standing still, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and get all of my tack situated, and I'm gonna just pluck an arrow. And again, if the horse, I plucked it and the horse he's fine. He's not paying attention to it at all. He is not worried about it. If your horse is worried about it a little bit, what you would do is start walking, just walk forward and let him follow, and shoot the arrows out ahead of you, okay? That what that does, it simulates everything to him is dominant, okay, including you. So with you shooting the arrows in front of you, it kind of simulates, or in his mind, he's thinking that you're chasing him away, okay? And he's helping you chase them away, basically. So that's what you're doing. It lets them. They accept it a lot better. That's what they've been doing from birth, is following the dominant horse. So that's what you want to do. So he's okay with it though. He didn't have any problems, any issues. I shot it in front of him, on the side of him, and then behind him to his hindquarters. Fine. Now what I'm doing is I'm making sure he's okay with the target. And if you notice, I didn't walk up to the target and stop and let him smell it and all this other stuff first. I just walked straight on by. Now he's doing fine with it, but if the horse was dancing around or kind of worried about it, I would just ignore that and just walk straight on by and keep walking straight on by until the horse can walk by it, can follow you buy it real easily. Then you stop and let him smell it like this, okay? So many people they do it in just the opposite. They want to walk up and let the horse smell it, and before they start walking by it. And that's not the way to do it. Horses don't think the same way people do. They are prey animals. They're not predators. So they're more comfortable with moving on past whatever's the threat. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing whenever I'm introducing them to the target. I'm just going to pluck it at first. When I'm introducing them to shooting the target, and I'm going to walk on past. Okay. Now again, he's not paying any attention to it. He is totally fine with it. But what I would do is I would keep doing that until he is settled with it. Now he should be at this point okay with shooting the arrow, okay with you plucking his string and all this other stuff. So just the added thump of the target shouldn't be that much for him to take. Okay. And so I'm just doing that, and I'm going to keep doing it in small increments until I can bring it full draw. And if you notice, I'm doing it left-handed and right-handed. I'm showing him it through both eyes, okay? If you're right-handed and can't shoot left-handed, take this time right here to go ahead and practice plucking them off left-handed and shooting left-handed. If you're going to do horse archery, and play with the big boys. Go ahead and do what the big boys do and learn how to shoot left and right-handed, okay? That's my advice. So he did great. Again, I will do all of that first at moving before I do it with him sitting still, okay? So he done great. He's taking it great. No big deal. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to bridle him and get him used to me doing it on his back. Okay, so if you notice, I put my bow down and all of my arrows. All I have on is my quiver, okay? So I'm going to get on the quiver, and you notice I'm going to shake it around, move it around a little bit before I ask him to move. Let him see it. And then I'm going to slap him with it and do everything that would happen if he was at a canter or at a trot, okay? And just get him used to hearing it and feeling it and seeing it move and flap or whatever it's going to do, okay? And I'm going to do this all at a trot. Now right here, I had to adjust my tack a little bit. I think I forgot to got in a hurry and didn't hook my chin strap. But anyway, no biggie. Just stop, and that's what I'm doing, in case you're wondering. So I'm going to go ahead and get back on. And I'm just going to bring him around both directions and all of that. Just let him feel it at a walk, and then I'll bring him up to a trot. Now you're going to notice that this horse is going to want to dive into the target. He's going to want to dive into the center. That's just some residue over from the training, diving into the center of that target. So I'm having to hold him out. I'm having to ask him to stay out. This isn't going to look pretty. I don't care. I'm not worried about pretty right now. All I'm worried about is him getting used to my tack. I want him used to the quiver. I want him used to the arrows. I want him used to the bow. Okay, we'll work on pretty later. I want him to stay calm and all that. But you see how he's just he thinks if he dives into the center, he can stop. That's just how he was trained, okay? I'm going to use that, okay? I'm not going to fight it. Let it be ugly. Let it do whatever. I'm going to use it. See how I brought him around? I brought him right next to the target. Guess what? Target's a good thing now, okay? It's in the center of our circle. He wants to be in the center of the circle because he associates that with a break. So, hey, I'm going to use it. We'll take care of that later, all right? But right now, it's an asset. So I'm going to go ahead and put my arrows in my quiver and do the same thing. I'm going to get mounted, get everything situated, then I'm going to shake my arrows. I'm shaking them around right now. Let him hear them, okay, before I'm asking him to do anything. Then I'm going to just walk off, and I'm going to continue just to shake them, let them hear what they sound like in my quiver. Now, I've got a dozen arrows in those quivers. Right now, you want a lot of arrows in your quiver. If you can fit a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen, it doesn't matter. Just at least a dozen arrows when you're doing this, okay? You don't want to have to stop and regroup any more than what you have to. So anyway, I'm pulling arrows in and out of my quiver, letting him hear it, let him see it. I'm going to shake my arrows around. Now you notice I turned them upside down. I grabbed them by the point. That's just in case things get Western. I've got control of the point. I don't poke him in the eye or in the head or anything with them. Okay, and I can throw them. I can get rid of them and have control of the points the whole time I'm doing that. And the fletching also works better to desensitize them. They can feel it, they can hear it, you know. And what I'm going to do is just try to touch him everywhere that he might accidentally be touched with the fletching or with the arrows, and just basically desensitizing. I'm going to turn him to the left, turn him to the right, you know, and just walk him around, let him get used to it. Then I'm going to kick him up to a trot. And again, you see how he's wanting to dive into that target. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to let him until I'm ready for him to, but I'm gonna use that. Now later on, he's going to have to listen to my legs. He's going to have to listen to what I'm telling you. He's wanting to do that automatic right now, just by himself. He's taking it upon himself. I don't want that. I want him to do it when I tell him to. Okay? But at the moment, I'm going to use it. I'm going to let him go into that target because I want him to be okay with that target. Now we got the bow. I'm going to do the same thing with the bow. You notice I need him right there. He come over and tried to get in my space, tried to step on me just a little bit, tried to push towards me, and I need him, pushed him back over. What this horse's main problem is that he's aggressive, and he's lazy, and he's dominant, okay? That's not a real good combination because they will get really aggressive and when they don't want to do stuff. So every little thing that they do, like pushing towards you or getting a little pushy or just whatever, you need to correct it right off the bat. You can't let these type of horses get away with it because it will go to an extreme and you will find yourself on the ground. Now, if you notice right here, I just plucked my bow again, just like I did around him. I did it over his head, did it to the left, did it to the right, and now I'm taking my arrows, and I plucked it, and I'm just going to get, as we get around, as we go past, I'm going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as he can take it, okay, until I get full draw, okay? You don't want just to go to full draw and have that whoosh, pop, right off the bat. That may freak them out. You want to just take it, just a little pluck, then harder, and harder. And all this is preparing them for the next step, okay? So you start little bitty steps, and then you get to the big steps. So we come up, and I got pretty much full draw on my little Indian bow. This is a Native American style bow. It's actually a buffalo horn bow. It's typical what the Native Americans used here. That quiver, the bow, everything is pretty typical of what they used here in Central Texas back in 1800s and earlier. And again, I'm going to do left-handed and right-handed. I want to see him in the left eye, and I want him to be able to see it in the right eye. And if you can't shoot left-handed and right-handed, just take this time. This is just a real relaxed time. You're getting your horse used to it and all that. Take this time to learn. It's real simple. It's not hard. It's just muscle memory. And you're never going to develop muscle memory unless you actually ask your muscles to do it. So I would advise everyone to go to learn how to shoot both ways. Now, what I'm going to do here, again, everything has been going in motion, okay? We've been walking past everything. Now I want him, and he's relaxed. He understands that. Now I want him to stand still. It's harder for the horse to stand still and you do this than it is for him to walk past and you do it. So now I'm going to ask him to start standing still. So what I want him to do is whenever he hears that pop, whenever I shoot my bow, I want him to stop, okay? And I want to bring here at a walk here, I want him to stop automatic. Okay? Whenever he knows that I shoot, whenever he hears that pop on that target, I want him to automatically stop. I don't even want to have to ask him. Okay? I want him to stop. And so again, most people do this opposite way. Okay? And if you notice right here how I'm asking him to stop, I'm not yanking, I'm not shutting him down real fast. I'm just nonchalantly asking him to stop and back up a few steps, give him a little break, and then we go again. But what most people, where they make their mistake, is they do it just the opposite. They'll ask the horse to stand still and shoot the targets, then they start moving and they shoot the targets. And before you know it, they're going down the track and they hear the first target pop and they said, okay, I'm supposed to move. So they get to move a little faster. They hit the second part, oh, okay, I'm supposed to move. So they get to the third target and they hear it again pop and they speed up. So every target they're speeding up because they're associating with it with moving forward. So you shoot the first one, they say, oh, we're supposed to be moving forward. So they speed up. Shoot the second one, oh, we're supposed to be moving forward. And they speed up. Third one, before you know it, as soon as they feel you drawing your bow back, they get to a full gallop. They're just flying down the track. And it's because of this. It's because most people start their horses just the opposite of what they need to be starting them. Okay, you start them moving, you introduce it to them moving, and then once they're okay with it, then they just stop. If you notice right there, all I had to do is lift the rein. Okay, this is why you get a lot of arrows in your quiver when you're doing this. Now all I got is a dozen on here, and you're going to see I had to stop and pull my arrows. But I usually will have 2 dozen arrows in my quiver when I'm doing this. And so what I want him to do at that time, you've seen how I just had to touch the reins a little bit, and he stopped. You're going to see him getting better and better and better at it. Give him a little reaction time, and I just had to put my hand down and I didn't even lift the reins. I just touched his neck, and he stopped. That was great. So that's a good time to get off. I went ahead and got off, and I want to get the pick my arrows up. Now, shooting this close and shooting that many arrows in the target, you're going to break some arrows. Okay, I broke 2 arrows in this. I shot 1 arrow in half, and I shot the knock off of another arrow. That's just how it is. All right. Me personally, I don't aim at different parts of the target. I want my eye to be trained to hit the center of the target. So if I break arrows, I'll break arrows. Okay, that's just me. But you got to know that you're probably going to do that, shooting this many arrows that close to a target. But it's okay. You're not going to stay at this stage. All right. So get your old trashy arrows, and when you do this exercise, I busted a knock on that one. So go ahead and get all my arrows back. And if you notice, he wanted to help a little bit. He wanted to touch my fletching and nuzzle them some. I let him go ahead and do that. Now, when I started pulling them out, I kind of politely asked him to back up so I wouldn't stick him in the face with my arrows, you know. But that's what you do. You want it all calm. You want him to be relaxed. If he wants to look at it, go ahead and let him look at it. Okay, if he wants to rip a fletching off, I let him. Okay, I don't want him eating it, but if they, I just let them do it. I don't do a lot of correction with that right now. Most of the time they'll just mouth a little bit and turn it loose. But so I get all my arrows back and I start again. Now, again, what I'm looking for is for when I shoot the arrow, I want him to stop automatically by himself. And you can get this in the first session, okay? You should be able to get this. If you did all your foundation right and you're desensitizing right, you ought to be able to get this in the first session. And you see right there, I gave him a little action time, and all I had to do was just touch the reins, and he stopped. Give him a little break. That break is important. 10 to 20 seconds, count a little bit. If you have to count. If not, just you have to give him a break, all right? The break is extremely important. Bam, he stopped automatic. He stopped by himself. He took it totally by himself. He heard the pop, and he stopped. I am going to quit the lesson right now. We're not going to go any further, okay? I want him thinking about that. He did great. So this is going to be a total release, completely release. So I'm just going to grab my 2 arrows, stick them in my quiver, and I am ending this lesson, okay? So that's how I introduce him to the target. And again, this horse may have some surprises for me yet, because he had 2 owners that had trouble with him running off and acting silly. He hasn't done that with me yet. I'm hoping he doesn't. But again, this horse's main problem is that he is lazy and he is dominant. So when you ask him to work, he is going to protest. So what you have to do is be a leader. You ask him to do something, he needs to do it. But then again, you need to be a fair leader. You don't want to make him resent what you're doing, okay? And there's a fine line in that. And again, if you're liking these videos, go ahead and subscribe and share them. And there you go.